Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Doing Well, the Wellbeing Science Insights podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm your host, Lu Ngo, coming to your ears from Naarm, Melbourne, Australia. Let's learn together. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Doing Well. And we're here again to talk about the science of well-being, or the well-being science, however you would like to call it. Here we have a new topic for this week, and I'm kind of intrigued about this topic because I'm struggling with this myself personally. The topic of the day is overcoming perfectionism blocks to foster personal growth. And if you're a perfectionist like me, you're probably struggling with it right now, which is why you clicked on the podcast. So let's get started. Our guest today is Carina Yeap, and I would love to introduce her to everyone. Helping stressed out individuals unlock their inner cheerleader through realistic, positive self-talk, Carina Yeap is a certified Rapid Transformational Therapy (RTT) practitioner and the founder of Emerged Butterfly in Singapore. Known for her professional work ethic, soothing voice, creative visualizations, and deep intuitive knowledge, Carina's mission is to promote better understanding of mental wellness, improve self-confidence, and a deeper connection to oneself. Having worked with individuals from all over the world, Carina believes strongly that what you want is available to you once you truly see yourself for who you are, whole and enough. What a beautiful bio, Carina. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting.
Well, I think your bio is a very wholesome bio, and I'm sure we're going to have a great chat today. But I'm now curious. First and foremost, emerged butterfly. There's got to be a reason why there's that name for the organization. So I would love to know why, and also I would love to know why you chose to do this work in the first place. Actually, I think this is probably the second time I've heard of rapid transformational therapy, throughout our podcast so far. So please share a little bit more about that with us.
So, emerged and butterfly. Like how caterpillars have to go through a stage where they are in the cocoon and then they eventually emerge out as a butterfly. I feel like the therapeutic process or someone trying to discover more about themselves, it's like a stage called metamorphosis, where you start to break down all parts of yourself, see all parts of yourself as a different version, and then piece back up again. So in Emerge Butterfly, I am working with clients so that they get to see their past version, get to see what made them who they are, and then how they can become a newer version of themselves. So we always think that parts of us is like imperfect. There are parts of us that we dislike about ourselves. That is more like the caterpillar stage. But when we look into what made us who we are, and we are able to see that actually now we are so much more different with the skills that we have, the person we have become, and the lessons we have learned about ourselves, we are able to reprocess all of those, piece ourselves back together, and become the better versions of ourselves. Hence, Emerge Butterfly.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that story. I love that. What about your career? I think it's definitely not conventional in that sense, especially where you are based in Singapore and in Southeast Asia in general, compared to Australia. I think it's not that common to have this as a career. So I'm sure there's got to be a reason why, and also, not just why, but how. Okay, how did you get here?
It started off with like a personal desire to get better. So back then, I remember I was in university. I just graduated and I was feeling miserable because I've had friendships where it just didn't work out. Like I would do so much. I would try to please my friends. I will make sure that everyone is feeling happy. at the end of the day, I feel like I'm not being true to myself. I'm not who I want to be, and I don't really like myself. So in the past, when I was in like, let's say, primary school, secondary school, like way younger before university, I wasn't I was a hardworking student, but I wasn't doing well in my studies. Uh, all the way up to university. University was a time when I got full straight A's, but I wasn't happy. So I was pushing myself, making sure that I score like really high marks, but then I was neglecting my social life, my relationship aspect. And I realized I surrounded myself with friends who are actually critical or who don't think the best for me. And then I had like a breakdown. I wouldn't diagnose myself as having depression, but I was having a stage in life where I was feeling really low. And then because I always listen to podcasts and I read a lot of personal development books, I got to know of my teacher, Marisa Peer, online through YouTube as well as through podcasts. That got me intrigued, and then I signed up. I actually wanted to just experience the therapy, but I went to sign up to be a practitioner, and here's where I am now.
Ah, that's such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. I think a lot of us can actually relate with that. And it's interesting you mentioned Marissa Peers. I was like, this name rings a bell. So I was trying to find it. I think we've been trying to contact her actually to be a guest on our shows as well. So it's funny you mentioned her name. It's kind of like, it's all that in this well-being space, and we love to connect with the same people. But what I love about that story is, I was probably very similar to you when I was in uni, probably even before that, in my earlier years in my education, and I didn't really figure out how to get there. And I guess, being here with LMS, I was kind of one step towards that, because I think personal development and growth as humans is just something that I truly value, and I think we should focus more on that, at all times. And that is basically why we're all here at LMSL. But I think for me personally, it's kind of like I was lost and I didn't know how to find the way there. And I think back then there weren't that many podcasts. I was like super new to the concept of podcast. I think I only found out about it probably in 2018. So, it's relatively new to me. So it's so lovely to hear that you actually found, podcasts you could listen to and, find your way here and do this as a career. I think this is so cool. It's inspirational. If anyone in our audience is kind of wondering what to do with their lives, I think this could be it, because sometimes we struggle with certain things in life and then we find out, a way to get out, and then we want other people to also get out of that. Maybe it's a rut, maybe it's a really difficult phase in life, whatever it might be. I think it's really wonderful to hear. So anyways, I love that. And I'm so thankful that you're here. So we're going to have a great time talking about today's topic. Before we get to that part of the conversation, we've got a part called Have You Met Carina? So we're going to get to know you through some of your favorite things. First of all, I would love to know what your favorite book is.
So I'm currently reading this book. It's by Danielle Laporte. It's called How to Be Loving. So it's a book that tells us that in a world where we are so much, it's a divisive culture, right? Where people are always thinking of like me, myself, and I. How can we be more loving towards others while also embracing parts of ourselves? So it isn't so much of experiencing love, but how can I accept myself with love? How can I infuse more love in every single thing that I do? It's more of encouraging an inclusive society so that we don't see another person as another person, but then all of us are one, as well as embracing our light and shadow parts so that we embrace all parts of ourselves. So right now it's Danielle Laporte's How to Be Loving. I also have a few of my favorite authors. I'm not sure if you have heard of Brendon Burchard. There's also Gabrielle Bernstein and my mentor, Marisa Peer. So for Brendon Burchard, I've read a couple of his books. He's like the personal development grandfather, so-called. He's not that old, but just that everyone in the industry knows him. A book of his that I strive to repeatedly read and consistently come back to year after year is High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. Yeah. Gabrielle Bernstein is more on like the law of attraction, spirituality, positivity kind of books. And then Marisa Peer, it's more on changing your thought patterns, changing your habits. Another book I strive to read is Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. It's the power of being present in the present moment. So those are my favorite books right now.
Yeah, well, beautiful. The first recommendation is a new one to me, so I especially love that because I think it's very on brand with our show. And me personally, I think that's something that I can resonate with for sure. So thank you for sharing that. I'll put that on my list. Now, which movie have you enjoyed recently?
Recently, so a movie I watched on the eve of New Year. It's actually True Spirit. It's on Netflix and it's about this Australian teenager who plans to become the youngest sailor to travel across the world. And then along the way, she faced many challenges, but she stayed determined, like wanting to stay and commit to her dreams. Well, what's enjoyable about it is because it reminds me of the potential we all have within ourselves. Sometimes we have to stay on the course and be persistent, even when others doubt our ability or like with their well-meaning intentions, they convince us not to stay with our dreams. Right? They want us to be safe, so they say, better not. You're too young or you don't have the skill set yet. It's like you have to trust yourself first and then push yourself forward. Then you convince others. It's more of a story on strength and courage.
Oh, that's really cool. So it's about an Australian figure. Is it like a this is a fiction or actually real life based on a true story?
It's a real life story. It's of this young sailor, I think 16 years old.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, I did not know about this at all. Okay, thank
She
you for
built her
sharing.
own sail and then she went across the globe.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. Okay. I will definitely have to check that out, especially because she's Australian. All right. Now, I know that you mentioned before that you used to listen to a lot of podcasts. You probably are still listening to a lot of podcasts as well. So, which show is your favorite right now?
In different categories. So for business, I'm listening to Amy Porterfield's Online Marketing Made Easy, as well as Brendon Burchard's Marketing with Brendon. That's for business. And then I'm also looking into spirituality. So I'm listening to Inside the Universe by Colette Baron Reed and Bihati Life. Bihati Life, it's more about astrology, tarot reading. I'm actually learning to read the tarot from her right now.
Oh, okay. Very diverse categories. And it's really different, stark difference. One's marketing and then the other one's like tarot reading. That sounds fun. Thank you for sharing. Not just one, but many. Now, this next one, I'm kind of curious. I'm wondering if it's going to be your mentor as your answer. But we all have role models in life. Some of us look up to many people at once. Some of us look up to one person. Actually, a few people I have talked to on the podcast say they actually don't have role models. I wonder if you do have one or many, and if so, who are they?
So Marisa is definitely one of my mentor, Brendon Burchard as well, and Danielle Laporte. My very first role model, I would say when I'm about 14. Have you heard of the K-pop girl group Girls' Generation?
Oh, I used to be crazy about Ghost Generation when I was in middle school. So yes,
Yes.
I know.
Yes. So one of their member, Sohyun,
Oh, okay.
she's my role model
You
because
have her on your desk?
yes, no, just
Wow.
for the sake of showing you. So I have I want to
Okay.
show you here at the side.
Okay.
So why I really look up to her because she's always positive, even though she's like the younger in Korean they call it maknae, so like the youngest of the group. She's always positive and she is very determined to change her identity. Like people always think that the youngest of the girl group are like the ones who's innocent, who's always following the righteous path. And she's known for being very conservative and like just a perfect little girl like that. So she strives to change the impressions others have of her, and she's also very multi-talented. So after her singing career, she went on to explore the musical side, and she also participated in a few TV shows as well. So to me, once she sets her mind on anything, she's capable of doing it. It's like a role model for me. She embraces learning and she's always bettering herself. And she makes sure to be kind to everyone she has met, even if there are actors who weren't as kind towards her. There's this like level of classiness that I want to embody.
Yeah. That's so good to hear. I mean, we don't have many guests that talk about K-pop idols on the shows, so this is fun for me. I do remember being so crazy about them in middle school. I collected so many physical albums with postcards and things like that. My cousin and I had started a project together because it was so expensive back in the day. We were like, let's buy them together so we can both, adore them. It was really hilarious. But yeah, I love that you talked about that because a lot of people have this misconception about K-pop idols that they are just lucky and they are just good looking and they're not talented. A lot of people actually talk about that. Like I remember talking to a few people not long ago about K-pop because it's such a big deal, right? And then I hear a lot of funny comments about them, and I'm like, actually, no, you know what? They do train really hard. Like at the moment, I love Blackpink, and I think they train really hard and they really develop themselves. And obviously, no one is perfect, and they work so hard to get here. So why do we judge them? I think we can learn something from everyone. So yeah, I love that you talked about Hyoyeon. I think that's who you mentioned. I couldn't see the photo clearly, but yeah. That's lovely. Okay. Final question in this part. I'm sure you've taken many courses in your life up to this point to be able to get here in your career. So I wonder which course has been the most influential to you?
I feel like I'm giving you more than one answers for every question.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
this is a tough one because like you said, I've bought and purchased and consumed a lot of courses. Well, if I were to pick my favorite, it would be Marissa Peer's RTT course, where I got to be certified because I learned so much during the course, learning from the case studies she shared, the live therapy section where she actually did a therapy session with one of the course mates, and then get to see like what are the root reasons why we keep limiting ourselves, why we keep sabotaging ourselves, or we fail to reach our dreams. I was also able to learn more about myself throughout the journey, even though I wasn't picked by her to experience the ITT experience with her. By seeing other people's behavior, I was also able to see things from a different perspective, from a different lens. So I get to know how what is the thing that's driving people to react a certain way, to speak a certain way. Why are some people more rude than others? Why are some people more caring and more giving at the expense of themselves? Yeah, and another course that I really enjoy is by Danielle Laporte, and that's the Desire Map course. It's a course that helps you to plan and set intention towards achieving your goals and to enjoying life based on core desired feelings. So how she does it is she helps you look at all the desired feelings you want to feel in any given day, and then sieve those feelings out, filter those feelings, and teaches you how to reach that feeling state, and from that feeling state, plan and live life while being aligned to those feeling states. It's a course that I really enjoy, and I make an effort to go through it every year just to notice if there's a change in how I want to feel, what I want to experience, or to see if there's a certain breakthrough, like a certain pattern I would like to break through. And also because I just like her energy a lot.
Yeah. I love that. Well, that sounds so cool. And, I think that's dedication. If you revisit the course every year, it's very rare to hear that because a lot of people kind of like, I'm finished with this course. I'm moving on. I'm done. So it's really nice to hear that you actually revisit the course. But speaking of RTT, obviously, probably a lot of people in our audience, like myself right now, starting to wonder, what does RTT actually mean? And what is included in that? Because, a lot of the questions that we have today will have a lens of RTT in them. So could you on this topic clarify what RTT is?
So RTT is Rapid Transformational Therapy. That means instead of having the client come to us for many sessions, we try and we aim to go for 1 to 3 sessions to clear a single issue. So most of our clients, they have this common belief of I am not good enough, even if they come in with like different sort of problems. Maybe someone wants to work on their relationship. Someone wants to work on perfectionism. Someone wants to work on public speaking. Or maybe someone wants to work on having their diet, having a healthier diet. So in RTT, our approach is to go to look at the root causes, the root reasons why someone became the person they are today. When we look at the past, sometimes we realize that it's those small things that we never thought of that actually shape us to be who we are. It might be a strict teacher who mocked us in front of everyone for the wrong pronunciation of one word that caused shame. To someone as young as 6 years old, that is actually an emotional impact. It could also be maybe someone who grew up in an environment where money was never enough. Parents might be gambling, or parents are just always feeding all the children, but there isn't extra money to go around. So then this might develop into someone having money blocks in life. No matter how successful they are, they always feel like there's never enough money or money isn't available to them. So what happens is in the session, we look at all these root causes and then we help the client analyze if these stories from the past, how different are they from the present, to help them see, because understanding is power. And when clients understand that the past is something that happened to them, but is something that they don't have to bring it to the present, then they can easily change that story. Because in the past, you don't have your phone, right? You don't have a laptop. Does that mean that you are not entitled to a phone or a laptop right now? It probably don't. So if someone who has been through many difficult, harmful relationships in the past, they might have developed the belief that love is not available to me. But that is not the case. So in that session, we change those beliefs and then we rewire the new beliefs by helping them look into the ideal life, helping them visualize and putting in affirmative words so that they start to embrace and to step into the new identity they are going to be.
Oh, that's really good. Good to know. Thank you for sharing that. And it's going to help us to put things into perspective a lot, because in some of our interview questions coming up very soon, we're going to mention RTT. So it's good to know what it is for, right? So let's talk about today's topic. We're here to talk about perfectionism blocks and personal growth. And I think that this is something that a lot of people like myself are struggling with. I probably will share a little bit once we start talking about the topic, but it's kind of like an age-old problem. Everybody has probably come across this at one point or another in their lives. A lot of people struggle with this more than others, and for those that are listening, they definitely really struggle with perfectionism. So that's why they're here listening to this podcast. So let's start by talking about well-being, because that is what the show is about, and we need to relate that to how it's going to be influenced by today's topic. So first of all, Carina, what does well-being mean to you?
To me, well-being is being present, being healthy, having the capacity to dream and to be hopeful about the future. Also being surrounded by people who love us, who are kind and supportive of us. And that also means being kind to ourselves in our own internal headspace.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so important because, there's so much emphasis, when it comes to well-being is kind of like we talk about physical health, which is a really important aspect of our overall well-being. But I think mental health is, even more important nowadays, especially since I've noticed that there's just so much influence. Sometimes actually my mind wanders and I think about the past, in the sense that it's like nostalgia. I think about how simple life used to be, and you don't have all of this pressure, you don't compare yourself to others. And I remember as a child, I was very much at peace all the time, just enjoying being on my own and doing things and not getting like anxious or worried about like, what kind of messages I'm going to receive today, or like, what kind of news is going to pop up today. It's just a very different space to be in right now. And, obviously as adults, you've got work, you've got different things to do, and it just gets in the way, right? So I think that's such an important emphasis of well-being. Especially being in that mental space. And that's kind of related to today's topic, actually, which we'll come to very soon. Now, the next question is still about well-being. So you've got that definition of well-being for yourself. And you probably have worked with a lot of clients to help them address a bunch of issues in their lives. And I'm sure you've seen how they view their own well-being. So what do you think to be some of the biggest misconceptions people have about well-being?
Misconception. I think people often equate having it all to well-being, even though it's not closely related or like the first thing that comes to people's mind when asked in terms of well-being. It's like when you ask someone, how are you? Right? That's the usual greeting. Often the first answer relates to how they are coping at work or with other responsibilities in life. Maybe any struggles in their family life, or any achievements or any stresses at home. So it's just what are the things they have to do, how they feel about the things they have done. But really, when we look at the word well-being, it's more than just what we need to do. It's more than our to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
Well-being is not only our physical health, like you mentioned, it also comprises of our well-being. Well, if we can cope with our daily tasks, can we still have enough time to explore and be playful and to engage in what others might call like meaningless pursuits? The kind where there are no monetary benefits or functions, but it still lights you up within, like it still makes you feel like a child. Essentially, are you having fun in life, or is life a long, hard slog? So a misconception I see a lot about well-being is that people are strict on themselves when it comes to their diet, their sleeping patterns, their daily habits, and whether or not they have a partner or a loving family. Because they are constantly bombarded by the media around them about what a good life means. Like when you see advertisement, a good life could mean like having a bite of pizza with your family and friends around. Or it might be a loving relationship where you are cuddling up with your husband. But that's not the case for everyone. And even like loving couples don't have to always go around hugging like 24/7. So some are also strict on their habits with their well-meaning intentions. So like I want to achieve a certain goal. I want to function at my highest level. So I have to be strict on myself. But then here's a reminder, we are human beings, not human doings. We are also not machines. And there are definitely times when we will feel less motivated and times where we feel passionate or fired up. And that's totally okay. But it's just sad to see that there are people who push themselves throughout the day, chugging down another cup of coffee or energy drink just to pull themselves through the day, when what they really need might be a 5 minutes break, or like petting their pets or attending to a flower pot, going out in nature, hydrating themselves or going for a toilet break, or maybe just resting their eyes and stretching their bodies. I feel like the society has emphasized too much on the need to produce, to consume, to keep going, and to just overdoing everything. Because even when I speak to people close to me, it's like they feel restless on their off days. They feel like it's difficult for them to sit still and not let the day go to waste, like nothing has been planned for the day. It's mostly about productivity. Is this worth my time? How much time is this going to take? Is this too expensive? is it worth it? How much task can I complete today? It's like we are always caught in this rat race with no finishing line. I feel like well-being should be understood on a more holistic level. Like, are you eating well? In terms of eating well, it will be a good balance of healthful and nutritious food, as well as indulging in treats. There should be a balance, not like too much on one end. And then, are you sleeping well? Do you feel like even after 10 hours of rest that you are still very tired? Or are you surrounded by people who love you, who support you, who cheer you on even when you don't feel like you are doing things correctly, or even when the external appearance shows them that you are not where you want to be? So, are you contributing the way you want to contribute? Are you enjoying the work you are doing right now? Are you enjoying life as you're living through it? And we don't have to always be satisfied with where we are, because it's okay to dream, but also be grateful for what we have done, as well as aspire for something greater than us.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. And thank you for that. You know what I'm hearing a lot in your answers is actually what sounds like perfectionism to me. Like having it all, like achieving certain things and like wanting everything to be a certain way. Sometimes it's kind of the extreme that perfectionists have. And I wouldn't say that I'm a severe case of a perfectionist, but a little bit of a perfectionist from time to time. I think it has a wide range of how it looks, and it can vary based on what we're talking about. So for our audience benefit, they're probably starting to wonder, okay, I know I'm a perfectionist, that's why I'm here listening to this conversation, but how would you actually define perfectionism?
To me, perfectionism is the unhealthy version of a work in progress. Sometimes also the need to be the best. It's like a never ending journey of tweaking, adjusting, a never quite done state where someone feels like they are never quite ready to share an idea or to launch a plan or to take an action. I feel like it's okay to want more from yourself, but to the extent where it becomes unhealthy, that you start to control, that you get stressed, that is the unhealthy version. And that is more like the perfectionist mindset. So there's a lot of pauses, reassessing, redoing because something is not good enough yet. It's like self-sabotaging behavior. For example, when I started out as an entrepreneur, I made sure to have like the branding with the right color, the right font. The website has to flow well. I have to like read through all the text to make sure that there are no grammar mistakes. When what I really have to do is to start telling others, reaching out and informing others that I can help them. I can be their listening ear to help them reach a breakthrough in their struggle instead of tweaking my website, making sure that I have the perfect launch date and then telling others. Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's kind of I think a case of classic perfectionism that a lot of us might be struggling with. And this applies to a lot of different things. I can relate to a few in my mind right now. And I think in life, when I remember the moments where I don't do something or I procrastinate, that is because of perfectionism. Like it's something so simple, like let's just say the other day I had this little project of rearranging everything in my room. Sounds so simple, right? Probably take like half a day. I think it took me like a week because I just kept sitting on it and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this because I need that, or like, I need to move things around and I want to make sure I have the time for it so that I finish everything. And then one day out of nowhere I was just like, you know what, this has taken long enough and I really want to organize my room again, because I have so many things lying around and it started to become a big mess. Just went ahead and did it, and do you know what, it's still not perfect, but I've made some progress, and I'm close to done. And I realized that, you know what, all this time procrastinating is just because I wanted it to be perfect. Well, you cannot get to perfect without making some progress, and that's exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's like I need the perfect size box. I need to look like there's a show on Netflix, right? On how they like pack it so that it's so neat. Like I need to have standardized box. I need to have all the rainbow, like all the colors of the rainbows in this box, or the pants here. I need to make sure I measure it out so there's no extra space. I need to make sure I need to clean. I need to make sure all of these things is just stopping and hindering us. But what if you take just 5 minutes? Set a timer, 5 minutes. I am going to pack this small shelf. And then another 10 minutes to pack my closet. And another 10 minutes to fold my clothes. Another 10 minutes to discard old clothes. Like do it in sections that would help. If not, it's going to be a huge project that is like too overwhelming to undertake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So you see, we're talking about the little things to big things, right? Little things like how we're organizing our closet, to big things like starting and launching a business, and we seem to have both been blocked by perfectionism. And I'm sure there will be so many other stories by other people in our audience that can relate to this. You know, perfectionism has blocked them from actually making some progress, to actually growing as a person, and it's quite clear, you know, there's a relationship here between perfectionism and well-being. But if you were to summarize it, what would it be?
I think it's hard for them to coexist if perfectionist is taking like the front of the stage. Like I need to make sure that everything is neat. I need to make sure that everything is done perfectly. When we are able to tone down perfectionists, we are able to increase our level of well-being. How does perfectionism affect our well-being? It's because sometimes when we are overly strict, overly critical on ourselves, it might manifest in our physical health. For example, we get shoulder aches, we get stomach aches, we get diarrhea. So that's the physical aspect. It can also affect our personal relationship. For example, we become less forgiving towards ourselves, or maybe we become more uptight in our relationship. Maybe it's just the desire to want everything to be perfect and not to share all those pressures that actually cause us to eventually lose it, right? Like sometimes we might unintentionally lash out at another person for like a very small thing, but it's because of the buildup of all the small things that has gone wrong in our mind. So in reality, perfectionist, it's more like these critical thoughts that affect us, affect the way we show up, affect how we behave in a relationship, and then ultimately it can also affect our physical health as well. It causes us to think about things that can go wrong, comments that others might make, and then it brings us down this like negative spiral where like we just have to keep doing, keep pushing to be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, you know, actually, a lot of the times we don't notice how much perfectionism can affect our physical health. I think that the strain on our mental health is pretty clear, because we'll feel restless, you know, we'll feel like we're not getting anything done, and we'll start to have all these feelings. But when it comes to physical health, that's what's interesting, because sometimes there will be days where you're like, I don't know why I feel so tired. I don't know why I feel so lethargic. I don't know why I feel tense in my shoulders, or, you know, like my lower back is aching. I mean, the younger audience might not have the same issue. I'm not sure, because it manifests differently in different people. But I've noticed with age, it's definitely a thing. And I've started to pay attention to my body a bit more. And I think that is so true. Like if I have a problem and I'm not getting something done, I know that I should be doing something like, let's say, life admin, really important stuff. I just keep delaying it. Like, I remember when I was applying for my residency in Australia, that's what was happening. I was kind of like delaying it and delaying it. And I knew that there was this like massive pile of paperwork that I needed to do. I just didn't do it. And then I ended up feeling really tired, even though I had already slept for 8 to 10 hours each day. And then I realized, oh, you know what? That is because I'm not doing anything. I'm not progressing. And that is why, like, it's like straining my body, and my body is tired. And when I got it done, it was like a weight off my shoulder. Exactly like you were saying, you know, shoulder pain. Anyway, it's so amazing how you start to pay attention to these things. But now let's talk about RTT, because we know that there are, you know, certain ways that perfectionism can manifest. And you kind of mentioned a few cases of it earlier. So I wonder how it works when it comes to getting RTT's help in addressing these things. When it comes to, let's say a classic perfectionist might have, delays in a project or like delays in something that they normally do, like we discussed earlier, and then it manifests in their lives and they're seeking help from RTT. So how can RTT help them to address it?
Okay, before I answer this question, I want to go back to the residency in Australia part. I think it's also essential for us to acknowledge that new projects or certain things that we take up it might sound simple, but it's actually not simple. Like I have a friend who's currently now trying to get into Australia. I think she's applying for some residency. And it is a process. She has to go through certain English tests. She has to go through other sorts of admin stuff. So it's not just like, oh, I want to go there and I can be there. And while, yeah, a part of us can say that we are procrastinating, we also have to acknowledge that it's not an easy task, right? There are a number of steps we have to undertake, and then just being present in the moment and know that, well, maybe today I have to do task 1. And then once I finish task 1, I can feel achieved, even though I don't have my residency yet. And then next week I can work on task 2 and 3. Oh, maybe there's an email that didn't send through, or someone didn't reply me. It's okay. I'm a bit off my schedule, but I can still continue. It's like the small steps that matter instead of feeling like I have to tackle this whole task all at one shot. Yeah. In terms of how RTT helps with perfectionism, common belief of a perfectionist is that it's not good enough. Honestly, this is like the main reason why so much of us are suffering with so many different issues, be it relationship, health, or in the career life. Honestly, this is the main reason why we are so unsatisfied with life. And that's not to put the blame on us, because often they're not in a RTT session. Like I said just now, we uncover what actually caused us to be the way we are today. And often than not, this critical, judgmental, or harsh thoughts we have about ourselves actually did not come from us. It came from maybe a strict educator, a parent, or an authoritative figure who actually want the best for us, right? But maybe they weren't good with their words. It's like if you think of a strict parent I'm not sure if it's Asia or in Chinese, we call it tiger moms. So they push us. You must get an A. 95 is not enough. You need to get 100. It's not really that they want us to suffer, but actually it's with the kind intention that they want us to have a better life when we grow older. Because for them, they did not have the education, right? And then they struggled more when they are an adult. So when clients come for RTT for different issues like finding out their life purpose, finding out what's causing their health-related issues, their career, or trying to improve their relationship, mostly during the session, with the help of hypnosis, we go back to the root reason. And then we help them understand that those voices did not come from them. It was the external circumstances that affected them. And then in the same session, we empower them. We help them realize that even though that's your past reality, it doesn't have to be the same thing in the present. And when you can change the present moment, you can change the future. So that if they were to change their mindset from being a perfectionist to progress is what makes me thrive, then from then on, if that is their motto, if they take small actions that helps, physical actions that align with their belief and their thoughts, their future would be different from their past. So they no longer will be under the holes of perfectionism or those negative judgmental thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting because it sounds like it's a little different from traditional therapy. Would you say so?
Traditional therapy might be you talking about your daily struggles. It might be you suddenly relating to something that someone did that triggered you. Or like in CBT, it's more like correcting the thought patterns, right? Here we are looking back into an event that happened in the past. Well, different therapies would apply and would help different individuals depending on their preference. In a RTT session, we go straight to the root reason. So maybe I lack the confidence to do public speaking. I might think that it's because I didn't have enough practice of public speaking. But when I go back, it might be due to maybe a stage fright or something that happened. Okay, a personal example. I was actually afraid of standing in public and then speaking out to others. But then when I did a session, a RTT session, I received a session, I realized that one of the scenes I went back to was when I was in kindergarten, graduating from kindergarten. Like we all have this kind of event where the students will go up on stage, they will get like a paper, like a cert, and then we'll wear this graduation hat. So what happened to me was when I was on the stage, I was shaking the dean's hand. My head actually fell off, and then the whole crowd laughed. Yeah, so that doesn't seem like a huge thing, but to a young 6-year-old child, it's impactful and it creates like an emotional hurt there. Yeah, so then now as an adult, I realized that, okay, so what happens if this kind of thing happened to me as I'm 20 or 30 years old? I can just adjust my head. I can just say, it's okay. I can just continue on. So right now we have better coping strategies than we were in the past. In the past, we were needy, right? We needed affirmations. We needed our parents to feed us, to clothe us, to take care of us. But right now, we don't have. We don't need to. We are independent. We are self-reliant. There's so much things that we have learned and accumulated, skills that we have now that we didn't have in the past. So right now, actually, we are more adept. We are more able, more capable to deal with whatever stresses that has happened in the past. We have much better coping strategies. So helping clients realize and understand that they are empowered now. They are this empowered version of themselves, not the needy, dependent version, is actually a game changer for many of my clients.
Yeah, that's super cool. Thank you for sharing that story. I think it must have been really hard to even, unpack it, let alone talk about it. So we appreciate your open and honesty, you being open and honest on the show. Now, I'm very conscious of time. We have so much more to talk about, but I guess, it probably should make time for the practice section. Before we move on to the practice section, would there be anything that you didn't get to cover that you would like to talk about when it comes to perfectionism or using RTT to address perfectionism?
I think one important thing about how RTT helped me and many other individuals is that after we process what happened in the past, right, a crucial intervention would be helping the client realize that that is no longer you. Right? Like how sometimes we think back to the past and we'll be like, if I done that, things will be different. But the thing is, you are now in your present state, your present moment. So it's important and it's crucial for you to, while you absorb the lessons you learned from the past, it's important for you to realize that the younger version of yourself is no longer you. So if you don't identify with the younger version of yourself, you can step into the new potential. So realizing that what happened in the past can no longer affect you actually helps you become the newer version of yourself. Many of us are like worried what others would think if we were to become a different version of ourselves. If I were to talk differently, clothe differently, speak differently, act differently. But essentially, at the end of the day, you are the only one who would be with you on your deathbed. So while others can say whatever they want to say, end of the day, you have to align with yourself and know what's
I
best for
love that
you.
message. Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much. I think that's a really great message to close this part with. And for our audience at home right now, they're probably starting to wonder, well, I don't think I can get access to RTT that easily. Like I still struggle with perfectionism. I would love something easy for me to try today. Perhaps something that is really simple. Anyone can try to start to address their perfectionism. So if you were to suggest something like a practice to our audience, what would you suggest?
Simple will be affirmations. Actually, the other technique I would like to introduce also would be visualization. But for now, affirmations. Actually, I've got this deck here. There's about like a hundred affirmations here. I've got them from a website. It's from the person Louise Hay. I'm not sure if you've heard of her before. She is well known with affirmations. So I printed this off her website. So it would be good if the audience could print a set of affirmation deck and then just read through. What does affirmation do? How does affirmation help us? It helps us go from like the negative state to the more neutral state, and the more neutral state to the more positive state. In law of attraction, what we look out, what we put out, the universe matches, right? So our outer reality actually matches what we believe we are worthy of in the inner reality. So having affirmations by your side, either through a printout or through like an application. I think our phone have apps. I downloaded one, it's called I Am. There's also like a app called Motivation. So these are apps that actually send out affirmations every like interval, maybe 30 minutes. Affirmations helps rewire the brain. So like, you know how we often tend to think about the negative or think about the past? That is something that has been wired in our minds. But now with neuroplasticity, it's like whatever neurons, whatever thoughts that we think more of, it gets strengthened, it gets stronger. So when we think more and we expose ourselves more to affirmations, positive affirmations, we actually build new neurons, new neural pathways that helps us to be more positive. I was actually doing a research a few days ago, and the research shows that with every one negative thought, we need 6 negative thoughts to nullify the effect. That's
Wow.
huge. But what if you could make positive thoughts a way of life? And slowly the negative thoughts will fade off. They will die down. It's like when you first started brushing brushing your teeth, you brush with your dominant hand, right? When you switch it to the non-dominant hand, it's a bit awkward. But like 1 week, 2 weeks down the road, it gets easier. And then soon you're able to use both. Same applies for positive affirmations, and they are really easy. You can even go onto YouTube and type positive affirmations loop and then just plug in. One thing I like to do is at night before I go to bed, I will just play positive affirmation, hypnotic tape, either on YouTube or other apps, and then just go to sleep.
Wow. Okay. That's really good to hear. And you're giving us really practical tips there. I'm sure our audience, whoever would like to try, will try that. I remember having this gift from one of my friends from probably 2 years ago. It's a deck of cards for positive affirmations. I can't remember what it was for. I think it was for relationships. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Like, I'm very happily single, but thanks. Like, I just took the gift and didn't think much about it. And then I was going through a rough patch in one of my previous relationships. And then I remembered that I had that. And I just opened that and I looked at it. And, just flipping through a few cards, it helped to kind of, like exactly like you were saying, it helped me to go from negative to neutral. And then the neutral from positive part didn't happen with a deck of cards. It happened through, connection with friends and other things. But like that was interesting because I was kind of doubtful when it comes to affirmations, like back then, a few years ago when I first heard of the concept. But now that I've actually tried it myself, I think it actually does work. It does help.
Affirmations, right? The key thing is not just reading the text, but really feeling it. So for example, I'm reading from here. I love and approve of myself. So when you read, it's like, huh? So you're going to read it again. I love and approve of myself. So let it sink in. What does it mean to love myself? Maybe to be kind to myself? What does it mean to be approving of myself? Perhaps I don't have to get everything right all the time. And then I do not have to prove myself to anyone. Okay, accept instructions. Got done. I release all criticism. So what does this mean? I release criticism that I give to myself. So if someone criticizes me, whatever. So it's really reading and then feeling it and then visualizing for yourself how you can apply this affirmation right there and then.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. That sounds really fun. This is new to us on this show. I think this is the first time we've got affirmation as a practice. So that's a first for today. Now, before we let you go, we've got open mic, and I know you've got something fun in store, so I'm keen to try it.
Okay, so we are going to do a mini hypnosis practice. So
Okay.
just sit comfortably. All I need you to do is to roll your eyes all the way up. And then we are going to take 3 long, deep breaths. Keeping your eyeballs up is a way for you to get into alpha brainwave state. On your third breath, you are going to keep your eyeballs up and slowly close your eyelids right down, all the way down. So as your eyelid shuts down, allow a drifting, floating feeling to develop within your body. We all have the perfectionist role within us, and while it has the best intentions for us, it doesn't always speak to us in a kind and encouraging tone. Right now, I want you to see that version of yourself, the one with the perfectionist role. Perhaps he or she is wearing an attire that is prime and proper, having a very stern look or a serious look. Someone who has achieved a lot, standing up straight in a posture that shows you that he or she is undefeatable. Now we are going to change his or her clothes. Right now, she is going to wear a cheerleader coat, holding on some pom-poms, colorful pom-poms. She's having a broad smile across her face. She's excited and she's pumped up. We are changing the perfectionist role within ourselves to be the cheerleader or within ourselves. This person is responsible to motivating you, empowering you, reminding you every day to trust yourself, to believe in yourself, to know your capabilities, and to remind you of your enoughness. This person is going to remind you when you need to rest. This person is responsible for telling you when you can push yourself and do more, but also remind you when your work or your contribution is good enough. This part of you is aware that there is no need to be critical or judgmental because you know you will get better with experience. With each failure is a lesson learned and experience gained. You no longer see failure as something you did wrongly, not a personal flaw. Instead, you encourage yourself and you look at things objectively. And you tell yourself, here's what I can do better the next time. Here's where I can seek more help. Here's what I did well this time. You're appreciative of the lessons you have learned from the past as you step into the new version of yourself, becoming your own mentor, your own cheerleader, your own encourager. You know that an exceptional mentor is one who encourages you, who challenges you, but never criticizes you. A remarkable mentor is someone who will help you see the skills you need to learn, teaches you how to upgrade yourselves, but is someone who also always sees the value in you, who always trusts in you and believes in you. Just take a moment and really feel the empowered feeling spreading from your heart all the way out to all parts of your body. You exude confidence. You exude positivity. You love yourself and the people around you love being with you. You are grounded, you are calm, and you are encouraged. You are enough. Just sit for a while more with this feeling, turning up the feeling like how you turn up a knob or a dial on the radio, shifting from a level 0 to a level 5 to a level 10. How differently you are becoming when you are confident, when you embrace progress over perfectionism. The shift of who you are becoming. Really experience the change. What are you seeing, hearing, and feeling differently than before. The lightness, the enthusiasm, the trust and faith you have in yourself. Just spread a smile across your face, knowing this truth is your new reality. You are well, you are whole, you're complete, and enough just the way you are. So slowly, bring yourself back into the room, gently swaying your body or moving your fingers. And you're ready, take a deep breath in and open up your eyes. How did that feel?
It was weird, but good weird. Because I was like, how do I keep my eyeballs up the whole time? I was struggling with that. So I kept smiling because I was thinking about that. But yeah, it was really good. I felt relaxed. Because your voice is really calming. So thank you for that. It made me feel really great. And I could actually use some of that right now because, like as I've mentioned, each of us were struggling with different things, right? And I myself am like that too. As much as I share and open up on the show, there's a lot more going on behind the scene that I don't talk about. And this has actually really helped me because, most of the time open mic is something that the guests like to share. So this is quite unique that I get to try this with you. And I've never done that before. So that was fun. Thank you.
You can always listen back to the replay and experience it one more time.
Yeah, definitely. I shall do that. Thank you. So if our audience would like to find out more about your work or maybe get in touch with you about RTT, where should they go?
So I have a website. It's emergedbutterfly.com. I have a website with a lot of resources that are totally free. All they need to do is to just enter their email and I'll send the resource straight to them. So that's emergedbutterfly.com/LINKS links. So those
Thank
are the
you.
links to the free items.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thanks so much. And I think it's been really fun and it's really different from the usual podcast I get to do. So thank you for coming on and we love your energy. Hopefully we'll get you back some other time.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Doing Well, the Wellbeing Science Insights podcast produced by the Wellbeing Science Labs, a division of LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. More episodes are available from 10 life management perspectives and can be found by searching LMSL on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, and other podcasting apps available on your devices. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, share, and subscribe to our channel so that other people can find it and we can continue to provide quality content. More of our work can be found on our website, we.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Lu Ngo. Thanks for tuning in.